This program was pre-recorded.
It's time for Fletcher Nation with your host, Roy Fletcher, political analyst and campaign coordinator, and Kevin Gallagher. It's time to talk some politics. It's Fletcher Nation. Now, here's Roy and Kevin.
Boom. Once again, Mr. Roy Fletcher joins you to help you get your mind right.
Get mine right.
Get your mind right.
Get mine right.
Yeah.
I want mine right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying not to get too depressed about the strange turn our country has taken with the swearing in of our new president.
It is strange and
gotten
odd.
more wokety woke than we've ever been before. We're worrying about the gender of a plastic toy. We're worried about
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. I would love someone to explain to me what is objectionable about
Green
Dr. Seuss.
eggs and ham.
Well, what's wrong with green eggs and ham?
I mean, I am in shock at the cancel culture.
Well, it's just
insanity.
It's just people. They're making an industry out of looking for crap to get upset about.
It's insanity. We got a guy coming in here to be our guest. Be here shortly.
I think he's on approach, as a matter of fact.
Okay. And yesterday, the General Accounting Office issued a report on his tenure at the Bureau of Safety and Engineering Offshore for Donald Trump. And in 2017, they had 185 infractions, a complete mess. And Trump gave this job to a boy named Scott Angelle from St. Martinville, Breaux Bridge, I should say. And guess what happened? He changed that whole culture. And the GAO yesterday gave him a report that was really, really good. And he just walked in. I'm going to. Wait, hold on. I got to hug somebody. It's
okay.
COVID.
All right.
It's COVID.
I'll describe for the radio audience.
What's happening?
Scott Angelle is now giving a warm and affectionate hug to Roy Fletcher. Roy is now greeting Scott's assistant, who is with him. We'll meet her as well in just a few minutes here. There we go. Good to see you again, Mr. Angelle. How's life treating you? You doing all right?
My wife told me there'd never be another Casey.
Well, I'm not exactly Casey. And there's my breakfast. Life just keeps getting
Folks,
better and better
y'all
and
just
better.
interrupting our day.
I'm telling you, man.
Y'all just interrupting our day. The radio program in.
Honest to goodness. We're going to ask you that question.
Okay. All right.
We got about 90 seconds left of this segment, and then we're going to get right down to talking with Scott Angelle in just moments. So that was a nice, warm greeting, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I hadn't seen him in 2 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But, he's a Louisianan who served the state and then found himself in Washington, D.C., and I think did yeoman's work up there.
Yeah, well, the GAO report suggests that he did yeoman's work, and that's what matters. And, sometimes when you make something work well, people don't see what could have happened if you didn't make it work well. And so you just take it for granted. But making government work well is not a bad thing. I mean, hell, it's a good thing if you save lives and save the environment.
Why do we have to make it so damned hard for government to work well? Is that a good question?
Yeah, it probably is.
Why is it they find it so damn difficult to do their jobs and do them efficiently?
I don't know, Kevin, but we might as well ask somebody when we get them on the air.
Well, we're gonna take a little break here, take care of some business. And when Roy returns, along with yours truly, Kevin Gallagher, we will be talking with Scott Angelle. We'll talk energy policy, coast, and a whole lot more. Which direction is the country headed? Which direction is Louisiana headed? Those are all good questions, I think. So, quick break. Grab yourself a beverage, and we're going to be right back with segment 2. This is Fletcher Nation. Glad to have you with us. That's Fletcher Nation. We are back, broadcasting across the great state of Louisiana.
Excuse me there, Kevin. Here we have the the Sultan of Swing. We got the Sultan of Swing right here with Scott Angelle. How about that, Scott?
I tell you what, that's a hell of an introduction to be back home.
Great introduction, huh?
Great song.
Yeah, it is a great song.
Way to rock it, Kevin. Great job.
Yeah, I do what I can
Well,
with what little God gave me.
Yeah. So anyway, so Scott, you just come back from Washington, D.C. You served up there for three and a half years, I guess, huh?
3.75 years. Don't cut me short.
Don't cut you
How
short.
many days?
I hadn't figured it out, but we'll have that for you this afternoon.
Hours, minutes.
Yeah.
And you served in the Trump administration at the a Bureau of BSEE,
Right.
which is an acronym for what?
Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement. But I got to tell you,
It's offshore.
Yeah, I got to tell you, when the president appointed me to that position as the BSEE director, my former first grade school teacher, Sister Antonia, texted me and said, and I love Sister Antonia, she's over in Jennings, and she said, I'm so excited that you are going to now be heading BSEE. You're going to be able to help all of our school teachers in Louisiana. So it's an acronym that's a little weird, right?
Yeah, right, for Louisiana.
Sure.
That's okay,
Right.
but that's cool.
Right.
That's good. But then on the other hand, it deals with something as fundamental in Louisiana as education, and that's energy.
Right, and when you take a look at offshore,
Offshore,
my
yeah.
portfolio was offshore, and you understand that, about 1 in 6 barrels of production in America comes from offshore, and 98% of that comes from the Gulf of Mexico. Although we have 4 oceans in America, the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Arctic, and the Gulf is the smallest of the 4. It produces 98% of America's ocean energy, and that is by and large hosted by the state of Louisiana. So yes, to make your point, it has huge impacts on our state's economy.
And I noticed that Scott's attired in LSU colors here today. Huh?
We tell you what, you look. It's been fun to be a kid from Breaux Bridge, to have an opportunity to serve in a variety of capacities, keep my nose clean, understand that I focus on the people, but have the opportunity to make the motion to hire Coach Ed Ogeron as the head coach of the Tigers. And the following year, he wins the national championship in the greatest season the Tigers ever had. You always got to go back and look at the genesis of that, and the genesis of that is that motion that we made.
That's right. You set that up.
I set it up.
You got it started.
Well, it's police jury politics. You got to know how to work it. But I do recall, and I can say this in a very loving, respectful way. The particular meeting that we had, I was getting called by one of the staff members to make sure I was going to come to the meeting that day, right? The LSU board meeting, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm making it, but I'm not real sure. I think I'm going to be traveling. No, we really need you. And I'm like, well, you may be lacking a quorum to do what it is that you need to do. No, it's not that we're lacking a quorum. We're going to basically, do the business for hiring our new head coach. And I'm like, yeah, I think we all in good shape. I think everybody believes that we got the right man. So it's not that we need you for a quorum. We need you as an interpreter. Because and I can say that because we come from the same
place.
Yeah, the Cajun Nation, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
very,
right.
very proud of Coach O and what he's been able to do,
Well,
the distinguishing that he's brought to the university in Louisiana.
Like I told those both people out at LSU, when y'all in trouble, y'all got to go to Northwestern and bring down the coach.
There you go, baby. There you go.
I'm undergraduate school.
Right. Yeah, well, birds of a feather.
That's it, whatever. Birds of a feather, whatever. So you came back after the change in administrations, come back home, but yesterday you got some news that really, and I saw reports on it. The General Accounting Office was tantamount to the legislative auditor, which is tantamount to the Grim Reaper in Louisiana. I went in and had done a study on this office, the BSEE office.
Right.
In 2017, and they found a number of very bad deficiencies.
Correct.
And a culture that was really bad. Right. And yesterday they issued a new report on that office, basically on your term there. And what did they say?
Well, again, thank you for setting that baseline. So when I got there in May of 2017, they had just issued a report in March of 2017, really questioning the adequacy of the United States of America to be able to regulate in an effective manner the offshore oil and gas sector. And so that's very important because confidence of the American people in their regulator has to be really, really at the top. And that report was pretty damning, and it's the report that I inherited, and I started working from that particular report, and we worked every day as Louisiana work ethic would have it. And I was so pleased yesterday. And what happened in 2017, the result of that report was that offshore oil and gas got put on what is called the high risk list.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of like the bad list, if you would.
Yes.
And we worked for those 3.75 years. And yesterday, in the United States Congress, they announced the updates to the high-risk agency list. And there's a variety of agencies that are on that list, or a variety of programs on that list. And they announced yesterday that they were removing the oil and gas regulatory oversight from that high-risk list, and cited the things that I was able to improve, specifically given great credence to a change management program and a variety of initiatives both on safety and environmental sustainability. And Roy, the thing that, kind of I would share with you that pleases me is that we didn't have an either-or approach. We didn't say, okay, we're going to address this by attacking safety, or we're going to address this by attacking environmental sustainability. What I said is we're going to have all three. It's not an either-or, it's an and approach. We're going to have safety, we're going to have environmental sustainability, and we're going to have robust production. And those things often are viewed as counter.
They conflict.
Conflicting.
You think they do anyway.
And our metrics showed that we accomplished that. So I was obviously very pleased professionally that the GAO said that, because Louisiana hosts that activity, and you need to have high level of confidence by the American people, because the offshore sector is the only province in all of the country that the federal government owns and regulates. Very important for our people to understand that.
Right.
So as goes the federal government's oversight of offshore, in a lot of ways goes the offshore industry. America owns a lot of emerged lands in the West, which are owned by BLM, the Bureau of Land Management.
Right.
But in order to be able to develop those lands, you got to get drilling permits from the state governments.
Right.
Here, offshore is the only province in all of America that is owned and regulated by the federal government. So it's important that we do it the right way.
Right. So now, given the nature of that, and then obviously all of that kind of improvement helped the president improve the economy, because that was fundamentally what the president's whole thing was that he gave us all a big major tax cut by reducing the cost of energy.
Sure.
To everybody. And now we see the price of energy on the rise, and the production of energy on being apparently not looked upon with great favor. What do you think what you think of the future of that?
Well, that's a great question. And I think we need to understand that America is awakening into the need to take care of Mother Earth. And as one that comes from a generation that believes that we need to take care of Mother Earth, I also believe that we need to do it in a systematic, planned way. And the one thing that I think we need to understand is that there needs to be a balance. And heretofore, the equation was about two E's. We had something called the environmental issue, which was kind of a blue state issue.
Yep.
We had the second E, energy, which was a red state issue. And it's not sustainable for us to keep having this either-or kind of approach there. So
because it affects the third E, the
economy.
Right.
And that's a purple E, because that's everybody's concerned about that.
Everybody's concerned.
And so, my thought process is that we need to bring that third E into the conversation. Again, I think most people believe that we need to do what we can to take care of our environment, okay? But at the same time, if we stop and think that we've had 6 recessions in this country from 1973 to 2019, and each of those have been preceded by a spike in energy prices.
Correct.
As goes our nation's access to affordable, not cheap, affordable energy.
That's right.
So goes our economic performance. And
Absolutely.
This is not just about the oil and gas jobs. It's about the hotel jobs, the restaurant jobs, the bank jobs, the car dealer jobs, the housing jobs,
the trucking jobs.
It's
all of it.
It's all
That's
affected
right.
by affordable energy.
And that was what Kevin and I've talked about that a number of times on the show. That was always what I thought that Trump's brilliance of that whole thing was that while everybody was talking about certain things and tax cuts, all that, what he did was he forced this whole notion of of production, and went about saying let's produce.
Right, and when you think about it,
But he didn't harm the economy by that kind of attitude.
No doubt. It actually was.
I mean, the environment. I mean, there wasn't a wreck. People kept going, it's going to wreck the environment. It didn't wreck the environment.
Well, when you take a look at the offshore, and I hear the music coming on, so perhaps maybe.
Yeah, we'll
come
catch
back.
you in the second segment.
Yeah. That pesky little musical cue.
Yeah, great reminder.
Our guest is Scott Angelle. We're talking about energy policy. Where do we go from here under an administration that hates oil and gas? What's it mean for Louisiana? We'll be right back with Fletcher Nation.
Look at them yo-yos. Huh?
I think that's what the couple sitting in the corner here said.
Yeah, look at them yo-yos.
As we record this
Playing
program,
the guitar on the MTV. That ain't nothing. That's the way you do it.
It's Wednesday morning, the 3rd of March here, and we are at La Divina Italian Cafe at Acadian and Perkins. And our special guest is Scott Angelle. Glad to have you with us in person, sir.
Thank you so much. It's great to be in the capital city. And when you come from the crawfish capital to the state capital, it's a great day.
Well, that's you can look at it that way.
You know what the most popular hat right now is in Breaux Bridge?
What's that?
After the big winter storm that we had,
Yes.
really made crawfish production kind of go down. Make crawfish $1.97 a pound again. It's a big red hat, and that's what's the most popular. I got a picture. I'll show you guys. Maybe you can post it on your site.
Yeah,
But
that's
big deal. I mean, but it's good to be in the state capital.
No, okay. I like that. You were here a lot for a long time.
Yep. Did some good thing here.
Yeah, acting lieutenant governor.
Yes, sir.
And on the Public Service Commission.
Absolutely. Yep.
And you were on the Board of Supervisors.
Again, at the end of the day, I hope they put on my tombstone, here lies a good father, a good husband, and a guy who made the motion to bring Coach Ed Ogeron to Baton Rouge, head coach LSU.
There you go.
Even if we don't understand a word he's saying.
That's exactly right.
Just look at the results.
Go Tigers.
That's
results.
right.
Go Tigers.
Scoreboard.
Go Tigers.
You want to see something funny, though? You watch closed captioning, try to keep up with Coach O during one of his press conferences. We don't know what he's saying.
Yeah. It is amazing.
God bless him.
It is amazing.
Yeah. So Scott, let's go back to the notion that this administration taking care of Mother Earth is all nice and all of that, but when you get in Paris Peace Accords and all of that kind of thing again. You're not taking care of a fundamental issue, which as it relates to Louisiana is huge, and that is the whole economic situation is really going to cause some disruption here. If I'm reading this right.
Well, so let me say how I believe there's a really incredible opportunity here for Louisiana, and that is that what we have done. And again, I'm speaking to the offshore sector because my portfolio was exclusively offshore.
Right.
But what we've done offshore, one of the main contributors that the scientists attribute to climate change is the venting or flaring of methane.
Natural gas.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would be important to kind of, as we size this up, for Americans to know that the best performing producing province in all of America when it comes to the amount of volume of flared or vented natural gas, the best performing province is indeed the Gulf of Mexico. We only vent or flare about 1.25% of our produced gas. So when you take a look at other provinces, the Gulf of Mexico environmentally is very, very strong. So let's move past just that one. That's on air quality. It has a huge impact on climate change.
Right.
Let's take a look at how we respect marine life. Again, look, I come from an area. You know where I'm from. I come from an area where, if there was a vessel strike and you had a marine mammal that caused the fatality of that marine mammal, there would be Boudreaux and Thibodeaux on the platform saying we need to cut the onions and the bell peppers because we got fried fish tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let me say this much. There have been 0 incidental marine mammal or sea turtle fatalities from outer continental shelf oil and gas exploration and production activities since at least 2017. That shows you the culture. We talked about air quality and the venting and flaring of methane, but when we talk about how we treat marine life in the Gulf of Mexico, it is really a culture of respect. And so, I think what we have is we have a duty now to help the White House understand that not all barrels of production in America are created equal, that there are environmentally advantaged barrels. And those environmentally advantaged barrels, quite frankly, are right here in the backyard, here in the Gulf of Mexico, a province that the federal government owns and regulates. And then when you take a look at the amount of money that brings to the government, the royalty rates offshore are much higher than they are anywhere else in the nation. So the federal government in 2019, I think the last time I looked at, got about $5 billion worth of federal revenues. And I've seen different things, and I've even saw some report that said that federal offshore revenues was the second largest source of revenue to the federal treasury, only behind income taxes. Okay? The bottom line is, if we can have a conversation, and we're talking about balancing the 3 E's, and I think that's the challenge of this generation. The challenge of this generation is to balance those 3 E's. I think the Gulf of Mexico can be one of the most important provinces, because it can certainly help us find, we got production there. We can do it in an environmentally advantaged way, and make sure that we bring those resources to the gas pump, because every American is connected to each other at the gas pump in incredible ways. We married to our automobiles in this country. We often live where we don't work. The Eisenhower interstate system allowed folks to move out and still work in downtown areas. We know the impact on utility bills. We saw it in Texas a couple of weeks ago. So I'm out there advocating that if we can just lower the temperature a little bit and kind of look at the facts, that the offshore sector, the Gulf of Mexico, can be a big winner.
Mr. Angelle, if I may, my question is, one of the first things that the president did by executive order was he shut down further exploration and lease sales, and he's impaired production in the Gulf. Is there any reason for that, any scientific reason, or was that just a big middle finger to the industry?
Yeah, look, I try to stay away from second-guessing the motives of elected officials.
Which is good.
Well, look, elections have consequences, and they do, and some of those consequences are showing up. Let me say that what I believe is the best approach for us to do is to put the facts on the table. And as you say, was that a factual thing, or was that a middle finger? What I would say is that I have facts. There are facts that reasonable people would conclude that more production in the Gulf of Mexico is better for the environment, is better for the economy, and is better for our energy. But perhaps right now it's a one-size-fits-all approach, and that typically is what happens right in those first 100 days. It's executive orders, whether it's the governors or whether it's the president. A lot of executive orders coming out that tend to be reactive to what the campaign was about, okay? And our job is to be smart and be leaders and put strategy on the table that I think can start tearing this one-size-fits-all approach down, and so we'll do that. We'll fight for Louisiana. We'll fight for the Boudreaux and the Thibodeaux and the Cheremis and the Calais, because it's important, and it's important for the country. There's so many facts that are missing in this one-size-fits-all conversation. And you know as well as I do, there are some times for you to put those facts on the table, and there are other times for you to wait for the opening. And that opening will come relatively soon. Energy prices are going up. I think everybody's kind of worried about soaring gasoline prices. When I fought the moratorium that was placed on the Gulf of Mexico following the event of 2010, the soaring gasoline prices that were coming to America, experiencing at every zip code, began to be the thing that folks said, all right, we got to go back to finding energy in this country.
Right.
And so, look, I think there's a spot. I think we've got to be smart. I think we've got to be strategic, and we will.
Yeah, well, and in the meantime, people that have to pay it suffer.
Right. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
That's the real problem.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, because the obviously the policy, it seems to me, is a policy that it should be production.
I'm also deeply concerned about the losses of jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's there's the pain. the pain is at the price and the pain is at the unemployment line.
Right, so in 2019, offshore supported about 275,000 domestic jobs in this country. And it's, we need to understand it's not just here. So one of the things that we found in 2010 when we were responding to the moratorium then was that, for instance, Red Wing boots, steel-toe boots, a lot of steel-toe boots bought here in Louisiana, manufactured in Minnesota. Blowout preventers, the elastomers that go into blowout preventers, the elastomers are manufactured in New Jersey. So what we're able to do then is kind of have a ground game. We can't just attack this by carpet bombing, if you will.
Right.
We're going to have a ground game and make it important to the jobs that are not only here, because we know that we wake up every morning knowing how important they are. They are our sons and daughters, our family and friends, and we know it. But when we start making it important to folks all across America that sometimes don't necessarily see it, then we get to change the narrative.
We're coming up on about 30 seconds left in the segment here.
So let me ask you a question, and then we come back. I got another question, let you talk a little bit on. What you think about the alternative fuel announcement over across the river in the port of Baton Rouge, $8 billion investment over there?
I didn't see that one, so I'm not familiar with it, but America is going to continue to transition its energy. And, all of us are all of the above folks. We are all of the above folks.
We want cheap.
But we want it to be done in a planned, systematic way that doesn't wreck the economy.
That's right.
Solving one problem and trading it in for another one is not a solution. That's an insult.
All right, we're going to be right back with more Fletcher Nation. You stay here. Once again, back with Fletcher Nation. Many's the slip twixt the cup and the lip. When you hear this on the radio, there's things you're not going to hear. Thank God. Teach me for trying to eat breakfast and produce a radio show at the same time. Our special guest is Scott Angelle, who is just coming off of a stellar
3.75 years.
Stellar period overseeing exploration in the Gulf for the federal government.
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
Well, look, there's opportunities. Take a little break and try to use my passion to fight for Louisiana. I'll always be a Louisiana fighter. I love this place. The fact that my last name has 2 L's in it and it stands for Loves Louisiana, right? And so, we'll be figuring out. I'm certain that I can add value to the national conversation. And I'll be looking for my seat at that table.
Good.
How you feel about public office going forward?
It's a great question. I get it a lot. As I've shared with Roy, I think we all have opportunities to serve. Our communities are a reflection of our own individual efforts. And I will always be interested in making this state a better place. You go figure that out.
I hear you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Whatever that meant.
Yeah, whatever it meant.
I like that.
Whatever it meant.
Huh?
Whatever it meant.
He wasn't as clear as Trump was the other day. Dad, we'll be back. But that's good. But in terms of projects that you're thinking about, I mean, do you have anything in mind? I mean, I don't mean public life. I mean, I'm talking about private life.
Look, I think that what we need to
because you got a wealth of knowledge, you're a great asset, and you're an asset to a whole lot of people in terms of your knowledge of that whole energy thing. Seems to me that you have a great place in the private sector.
And my seat at the table for 30 years in public life, 30 plus years in public life, I think has put me in a spot where I've concluded that when it comes to energy environment, it can no longer continue to be an either-or kind of question.
Right.
And the only way we get past the either-or question is to bring in that third E, as you introduced, the economy, which is that purple issue, which will then help us to achieve a balance. So I want to be part of a generation of leaders that build a bridge between the red and the blue by using the purple economy as the thing. Because, again, I know of no one who.
Could we build a bridge from the east to the west here on the Mississippi? We need another bridge.
Well, while we're working on that, why don't we throw in a $2 billion bridge?
Yeah, well, and a bypass.
Yeah.
We got that. Okay, go ahead.
Well, and I think that all Americans, regardless of where you are, if you're a single mom and you are bringing kids across town and to daycare and having to pay for gasoline prices, you a senior citizen on a fixed income, seeing utility bills rise, you out of a job because energy prices are inflationary and it has squeezed, a 50-cent increase in the price of a gallon of gasoline, I think costs America $195 million a day. Well, when we take that money out of the economy.
Say that again.
A 50-cent increase in the price of a gallon of gasoline costs Americans $195 million per day based on 2019 consumption metrics. Wow. When we do that, that's money that can be spent on clothing, restaurants, entertainment, hotels, travel. You figure it out. And it has a domino effect.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, when you take a look at what happened in 2008, when we went through the Great Recession of 2008, energy prices was sky high before that.
That's right.
Right? And
same thing in the early 70s too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the same pattern every time.
And we need to be aware that our national security, we should never put ourselves in a position where we so leverage on our national security that we need places like Russia and other folks to provide our energy. We ought to make sure that we can do it here at a level enough that takes care of our economy and doesn't threaten our environment. I happen to believe I'm part of a generation that can do all three.
Good, because that's what has to be done.
Absolutely.
No question about that.
Absolutely.
And so what? You gonna live back in Breaux Bridge? Or?
Yeah, Diane has been an incredible partner for 30-something years here. I gotta tell you, I'll make you laugh. So I say 30-something years, right? Because you're not real sure exactly when you get to 30-plus years exactly what year it is. And I remember as a candidate for governor, I came off the stage and I was introducing myself as a family man. I had 5 kids and I was married to the same woman. I said for 30, 31, 32 years. And I walked off the stage and some 85-year-old Cajun lady called me and she said, I want to let you know, son, I will never vote for you. And I said, well, I'm sorry, you didn't like my message. Did I do something? She said, I can never be for a man that says I've been married for 30, 31, 32. You need to know exactly how many years if you're going to get my vote, baby. So having said that, it'll be 35 this year. Incredible partner. 5 kids in 8 years, and now we have 6 grandkids. So life's good. We've been blessed a lot. I had a different path of where I wanted to go career-wise, but the good Lord had a different plan, and we're working that plan and continuing to do good things for our family, for our country, and our church.
That's great. That's great. That's great. And by the way, I want to tell everybody, you had a little thing that you did when you were in Washington. You'd send it out about it once a week. It was a little Bible message to your family.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, and I happened to get a few of them, and they kind of helped me too.
Yeah. Well, I was fortunate that I had a church about 4 blocks away from where I lived in D.C. And, D.C. churches are not very full.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about pandemics.
No, I understand.
Pre-pandemic, you can get like 8. The safest place to be for avoiding a pandemic or any kind of virus.
6 a.m. mass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you had 6 or 8 pews to yourself.
Yeah, we got some 18 feet rule.
And really great. They had really great priests there, and I was able to pick up some incredible message. And look, when you're away from your kids, what I find is when you got kids that are 19, 20, 21, and 28 up to that age, they don't really need you for a whole bunch, other than they need your wisdom. They need your wisdom. Right. And when you participating and you going to church and you hearing some of these voices and you can pass those messages along to folks, it was good. And I was happy to start like, hey, maybe I got an interesting message I picked up and I sent it over to you. Yeah, and then as it worked out, all of my messages I got picked up by the way in the federal government. You work in this bureaucracy, and everybody wants to know everything you do, and they're like, I'm sure they were looking at it, and I'm sending these messages out to companies, and they were like, oh, we got him now, and it's like, wait, he's talking about serving the least of our brothers. He's talking about making sure that we remember that we go to bed tonight with our full stomachs and our comfortable beds, that we worried about others. Man, he sure. We didn't think that's what he would be preaching about, but it was really good stuff. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I thought it was really
I learned a lot.
Very cool thing. A
Learned a
very
lot.
cool thing, and I do now understand why you were over at Mass at 6 a.m. by yourself.
Absolutely.
You and the priest.
Yep. At the old place. Great.
And two old women up front.
And if they would ask me how long I was married, I would have told them exactly.
35
You got
years,
it, baby.
or 33 or whatever it might be. Yeah,
You got
that's
it.
cool.
You make that mistake only once.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but hey, I made it twice. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
So here we are. So, Scott, we really
I like to
appreciate
think I did it right the second time.
Yeah, well,
First one was practice.
There you go. Well, look, I do want to say a special
appreciate
shout.
You coming.
Special shout out. I got one of my granddaughters there, a beautiful little girl, Vita LaFleur, celebrating her 4th birthday today. So a little special shout out to you.
Bless her heart.
I was telling Secretary Bernhardt, I was down in Louisiana during all of this, managing this crisis. As we were inspecting offshore, and I had an opportunity to visit with him, and he said, "How's it going?" I said, "Well, I think this disease this virus is actually harder on the Cajun people than it is on most." And he's like, "Why? Is there something in their DNA that makes it more difficult?" I'm like, "Our people don't know what social distancing means.
Right.
Okay, everything revolves around a party, a cookout, a ball game." And I said, "Mr. Secretary, I have 23 female first cousins, and I have another 27 male first cousins, and that I'm not abnormal. So social distancing, it is a little difficult for our people to get. But I tell you what, I'm proud of how our folks have responded. But when Easter comes around this year, I think you can expect some folks to really start.
Vaccine up, folks.
That's it. Vaccine up.
Vaccine up.
That's it.
Anyway.
Great slogan.
Listen, we appreciate it. We
Thank y'all
appreciate
for the
you coming
opportunity to
by.
be here. Thanks for what y'all do, bringing the message to Louisiana.
Great seeing you
Great.
again.
Thank you, Kevin. Good to see you, sir.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Fletch Nation. Remember now, if you're in one of our fine cities as talk radio station and you're not hearing Fletch Nation, call them up.
Kill.
Tell it. Yeah,
Kill,
I'm looking at you,
Shreveport.
KEL.
You've been listening to Fletch Nation with Roy Fletcher and Kevin Gallagher. The opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the host and guests and do not reflect the opinions of Guarantee Media or its advertisers.